Hi, everyone. Jerry Ann Waring here with Adoption Awareness Live, 12 o'clock Central Standard Time today on this kind of dreary Thursday here in Central Texas. It's been raining since before 5 o'clock this morning, so it's kind of dangerous out there. In Central Texas, it floods when we haven't had rain for a while, so anyway, I hope you're having a great day for a Thursday. Happy Thursday. Um, I just want to let you know in advance that we are live and I welcome your comments, discussion. We're going to talk today about various types of adoption. Hopefully we can get it all into 30 minutes. I don't like to go over because I know you all have busy days, busy schedules. So if I don't get through all of it today, then we'll just pick up again next Thursday with the rest of it. So I just felt this was an important topic since last week. I kind of alluded to it. And during the week, I've also had some discussions with some people regarding a particular type of adoption. Well, two different types, and we'll talk about that. So, there's not a good or a bad way to adopt. It's really a matter of preference, a matter of affordability, a matter of patience. They're all for the purpose of creating a forever family and also helping a child to live in a stable, loving home environment. A lot of children come from very diverse backgrounds. And I'm not just talking about babies. I'm talking about older children from foster care. And we will get into more of that. But you can also adopt a child from a foreign country who is not a baby. There's all different kinds of situations that we can talk about today in 30 minutes. So let me just get started now. And you can, again, respond here below in the comment section. Tell me where you're from. I'd love to know where you're from, first of all. And then put a comment, say hi, and jump in whenever you feel the need to do that. I will try to answer any questions that you have or direct you to someone better who can more accurately answer your question for you. Okay? Also, please know that when you come to Adoption Awareness and check out all the different postings that I have there, there are a lot of different agencies that you can go to. Hi, viewer. Let me know where you're from. There's a lot of different places you can go to get information on adoption. And that's what this page is all about. This page is about informing you, giving you resources, educating you. So please, please take advantage of all that I put out there. It's for you. It's all for you, not for me, certainly. Okay? So as I was saying earlier, we're going to talk about the different types of adoption today. And so, most people, when they think about adopting babies, that is kind of the primary thing for most people. But there are other ways. And as I mentioned, foster care is one of them. I used to work for many years, 23 years, within the foster care and adoption system, placing children who had come into the CPS system in Texas, Child Protective Services, and they were legally free. Some were very close to becoming legally free to be adopted. And I was very fortunate and just blessed to be a part of numerous situations where I had found children for families and were able to place them in those particular families. They're still together, still happy. The kids are well adjusted, doing fantastic. A lot of these kids were under the age of 5. I want to say maybe, well, I'll take that back. I think I had one situation where the child was 10. So, but they're doing really great. And the families, I still hear from them. Love you guys if you're listening. It's always been a pleasure and a joy to work with families who really, at first they come in, and I've had some families do this where they came in saying, I just want to adopt a baby. And I'm not minimizing that. A lot of heart and soul and prayer goes into the decision to even adopt. And that's another topic for another day, and we can get into that. But I've had some families start off with the intent of adopting a baby, but then they moved into, well, maybe we might try an older child or a sibling group. There's so many children in foster care, over 400,000 kids in the U.S. right now. So that is one way to adopt if you want to expand your family, or just get started. Look into foster care. You can call your local state Child Protective Services or Family Services Agency to see about how you can get started. In that process, go through orientation, learn as much as you can about foster care, because foster care and adoption, if you come in with the intent of wanting to adopt, you still need to get licensed as a foster home. But explain that, make sure the agency knows you're not doing this to just foster. You really want to adopt. So it's important that you have that conversation with your agency or with your state agency and with your social worker, so that they know that you're not going to be doing foster care permanently, that your intention is to adopt. You can also go through local child placing agencies. They're all nonprofit. A lot of them work very closely with their state agencies. And since we're in Texas, I can really only speak for Texas, but I know there are other agencies that do work, who are licensed as a child placing agency through the state. And their intent is to place children in foster care who have been displaced from their from their biological family. And the court system will work with the families along with CPS or family services to try to get the children or child back to the family. No one wants to tear a family apart. But if you've got some families that are just extremely beyond help, I mean, they're not working with the system, they're not showing up for court, they're not doing drug testing or even going to drug rehab or doing anything that the courts have mandated them to do. And so there's many hurdles that the biological families need to go through to get their children back. And sometimes the very easy cases, if it's a minor infraction that the biological family has, done towards their children, some minor first-time neglect issue, nothing major, but, I can give you lots of examples. But you can look these things up. You can go to your local or state agency website, wherever you live, and you can get that information. You can get lots of information from the internet. So I'm just covering the basics for you right now. But family service agencies do work very closely with biological families to reunite them with their children. But in worst case scenarios, if these families are repeats over and over, the system is always picking up their kids because of some abuse, neglect situation. Eventually, and it can be a long process, but their rights will be terminated. So those children will be legally free for adoption. Not always will a foster to adopt family go through that whole process with that child in the home. However, there are some situations where it can be a long process for the prospective adoptive family as well. So just be prepared for that. Know as much as you can about the children or child that's in your home. Get as much information as you can. Pray about this, because it can be a very emotionally draining process in some situations. Not always, but I'm giving you the good, the bad, and the not so good. Okay. And the ugly, I guess you could say. Okay, so foster care system, adopting through the foster care system is one way to adopt a child. Another way, of course, is two different types. It's the second one, but it's two-part. I'm looking at my notes here, which I happen to have pulled up from from the Dave Thomas Foundation. Dave Thomas was adopted, and he is the founder of Wendy's. So if you want to look that up on the internet, you can, to get information more from there as well. Like I said, you can just plug in a certain phrase or word and get a whole lot of information from the internet when you Google it. So, but let's talk about domestic adoption. If you would like to adopt a baby, definitely, again, look at the agencies in your area, and I apologize, I'm going to get pop-up messages every so often. I'm sorry for that. But you do want to look at what agencies, licensed private agencies, are around your area that obviously will work with you in that adoption. Or you can do an independent adoption, which means that you have an attorney. That's another option. You want to make sure that the attorney is a family law attorney. They know in Texas, it's the Texas Family Code. Just apply that to whatever state you live in. But you want to make sure that that the attorney that is going to work with you knows family law. When I worked for a child placing agency, a couple of times in 5 years of being there, I had a family that wanted their own family attorney who didn't know anything about family law. And I ended up doing all the paperwork for that attorney who, like I said, didn't know anything about family law. I'm sorry, I'm having an issue here. I need to reject this call. So sorry. All of a sudden, people want to call me between 12 and 12:30. Anyway, so you want to get connected with an attorney that understands family law, most importantly, and you can contact your local bar association if you don't know of anybody. You can Google it, obviously, in your area. But you also want to be sure that a licensed agency can do your adoption if not an attorney. Because what will happen with the agency is that they will work with an attorney to help you in that process as an adoptive family. Okay, they won't necessarily have a birth mom to match you up with, but they will do the final part if you have a birth mother that you've met. Maybe you've done a lot of extensive publicity for yourself, advertising, Facebook, newspapers, what have you, and you've already matched up with a birth mom, or maybe somebody from church who knows you, who has met you, who knows somebody who's pregnant and wants to place the baby. There's so many different ways now to access birth mothers. I mean, I didn't have that experience back in my day, but when I was working with birth mothers, it was a completely different situation. I mean, they were matched up at the agency. But again, that's another way. But if you want to adopt through a private agency with an attorney, again, they're doing the final paperwork for you. But you can do an independent adoption where you bring the birth mother in with you, work together with the attorney. But here's the catch with an independent adoption. They don't provide counseling to a birth mom. Birth moms should get counseling from somewhere, whether it's another agency that maybe has a adoption support group, if that's possible, or some therapists that specialize in losses or with birth mothers. Those are the things you should look at, because birth moms will not get any type of emotional therapy while they're working through the process of adoption. Okay? Through a private attorney. Now, another topic, and this was what I got involved in yesterday with a group of fantastic people who love children, and we had people on this discussion who had adopted privately, adopted internationally, adopted through foster care. So this one, the third one, is international adoption. There are hundreds of thousands of children around the world who are orphaned. Okay. Last year, and I'm reading off the notes that I have here, that there were nearly 9,000 children who were adopted from other countries. Rules governing international adoptions can change quickly and can be complicated. So if you're interested in adopting a child from another country, it's important to work with an experienced and ethical agency, group, or individual. If you pursue an inter-country adoption, the U.S. Immigration and Naturalization Service requires that you complete a home study. That means you need to find someone locally who will conduct a home study, and usually the fees can range between $600 on up. And this is usually a master's level social worker who can do your home study for you. So it would be an independent type study, not through an agency. Okay? Unless you go through an agency who does international adoptions and they happen to provide that home study for you. That's also very, very possible. So it can be expensive. I mean, I've heard $25,000 on up to do an international adoption, whereas domestic adoption can be $15,000 on up. For fees. There are some agencies that will provide a sliding fee scale. You really need to look into those because they'll be based on your income. So where some agencies may charge $15,000, yours could very likely be less. But sometimes agencies start at $15,000, and then depending on your income, you may not have to pay more than that. So it really just depends on who you see, where you're going, where you live, all that good stuff. I apologize today. The rain is bothering me. My nose is itching. I apologize. Allergies are getting to me today. Light form of allergies, but still allergies. Okay, another way, the fourth way that you can adopt is adopting a stepchild. And it's relatively simple. It's just a matter of going to an attorney, or you can even contact the court in your state or county and get the process going that way. I've known people in the foster care system who became foster parents because they were grandparents of a child and they wanted that child in their home. The state would work with the biological parents, terminate their rights, and then at that point, at some point, 6-8 months, however long the process was, once rights were terminated, then the grandparents would then adopt the children in their home. That is an option. It's less expensive. It's also very lengthy, but it is less expensive to go through the state that way. You can't just call up your state family services or CPS, though, and say, I want to adopt my son or grandson or stepson, whatever. You can't do it that way. There really needs to be a situation where the biological family is already in the system. And if that's the case, you as the biological grandparent or step-parent might be the most likely person to have that child in your home. Set you up as a foster family first, get you going with training and all that, and then that child can be placed in your home. And that's a better option. The other option, of course, is going to an attorney and paying all the fees and the court costs and all that so that you can adopt your stepchild or grandchild and make that a permanent situation. Okay? I know I went kind of fast, and I apologize for that. And if anybody has any questions, please feel free to call me, or not call me, text me, email me, adoptionawareness@hotmail.com is the best way to email me, or you can message me in the comment section here. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. We didn't make it for 30 minutes, so that's pretty quick. I thought I would take longer, but so I'm going to sign off. And again, please feel free to contact me if you want to talk privately. You can also email me, like I said. And please tell your friends about this live program every Thursday, 12 noon Central Standard Time. And you never know, even if you're not necessarily wanting to adopt, you may have a loved one, a neighbor, somebody at church who is wanting to do that, and support them in this. Get on this call, on this live program with them and support them in the process. Educate yourself. That is the best way to do anything anymore, or at all, is by getting information. Making an informed decision is the best way. You know, it's foolishness on my part, in my opinion. I'm so sorry. It's foolishness to make decisions without more information. You need to weigh the pros and cons. So look at everything. Weigh the pros and cons. Look at everything. Talk to people that you may know who've adopted, who've gone through certain processes. Get out there, learn everything you can. Okay, it's so important. It is so, so important. So I thank you so much for coming on today and listening. Thank you for popping in. And next week, we will talk. I'm not quite sure yet what we're going to talk about, but I'll get it out there for you. And we'll see you next week, okay? God bless you guys and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.